Hi everyone, my name is Miss Anna and I'm a Food Corps AmeriCorps service member in Chicopee Public Schools. Today I'm going to teach you a little bit about home composting. I'm definitely no expert in home composting, I'm just teaching you from my own home experiences and what I've learned from others. If you are a compost expert, maybe throw some tips down below, or if you have any questions, please send us a comment and maybe we can help answer them. The Oxford Dictionary describes compost as decayed organic materials used as plant fertilizer, basically rotted plants. One thing, it is a natural fertilizer to our gardens, either for your flowers, your vegetables, or your herbs. You can add it on top of your topsoil for free rather than buying it for however much it goes in the store. To get rid of waste instead of paying to haul it out or trying to get rid of the waste. It's an easy way to break it down and help the environment as the landfills are filling up. There are different types of containers for composting. This one you can buy in a hardware store and it moves on its wheels rather than using a pitchfork to move things around. You place the items inside and there are holes on the very side of the container to aerate the compost. You can also reuse old pallets and put them together to make a compost bin. But there's really no reason to have to go buy something just to make compost. You can start by making a pile in your backyard and covering it with a tarp or cardboard. So what can be added to the compost? We want a combination of brown and green things. Brown things will be high in carbon and mostly dried, while green things will be more fresh things like grass clippings, food scraps and such, and these are high in nitrogen. For your compost pile, you have to layer between brown and green layers, and for every green layer, there should be a brown layer on top. A few examples of the brown layers, which are high in carbon, are unbleached paper, shredded, very small sticks, shredded newspaper, the smaller the better, and dry leaves. Here are some examples of green layers, which are high in nitrogen. Just remember, a green layer is not always necessarily green, like coffee grounds. Another example of green things are fruits or vegetables that have gone bad in your fridge, and you don't necessarily need to throw everything away into the compost. You can dry the seeds and use them to plant. Any leftover plant food scraps from your kitchen, like the tops of a beet, or the skins of a carrot after peeling, eggshells but not the egg, and any other fruit or vegetable peels or scraps that you have. Oftentimes tea bags use plastic, so I recommend just taking the tea out of the bag and putting that into the compost. Now let's talk about what not to add into an at-home compost. Some things like fish, meat cooked or raw, or dairy like cheese, butter, yogurt, or the full egg, not just the shell. We suggest not putting in fish, meat, or dairy, not because they won't break down, but because they will attract animals and critters that you don't want in your compost. Hi, Mr. Brandt.
Hi.
Can we put any dairy or butter into our compost?
Yeah, no, I would stay away from dairy, butter, breads, and citrus. Okay, you don't want to put a lot of citrus in there either, because it could damage things.
Oh, what does citrus do?
I don't know, but I know you're told not to do it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, rapid fire questions for Soraya. Can you put wood chips in your at-home compost?
Yes.
Do you want a lot of green stuff or do you want a lot of brown stuff in your compost? Do you want dry?
Brown.
You want a lot of brown. Awesome. So you want more dry things than you want wet things like food scraps. Glass in your...
No.
No, it will not break down in your
Because it's
compost.
glass and it's made out of sand.
Where can you put the glass instead? In the trash?
Yeah.
Or somewhere else?
Recycle.
In bugs in the compost?
No.
Why not?
Because they're a living animal.
Because they're a living animal.
Actually, you should.
Should we respect our bugs instead?
Yeah.
Let them live where they want to live?
And if a bug ends up inside of your compost, maybe you should let them stay there because they probably like eat it down and
Yeah, that's awesome actually. What do you think they do to the compost?
they make it dirt.
They turn it into soil. Is that what
Yeah.
you're saying?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Great job, Sarah. Healthy compost is living compost. Compost needs worms and different microorganisms to break down everything to turn it into healthy soil for us to use as fertilizer. This is why the temperature of the compost is so important. If it's too hot, these organisms might die, and if it's not warm enough, they might not thrive. Here I have some of my ingredients. I have my fresh green ingredient, all of my food waste from my kitchen. I have the straw, it's dry straw, so that would be considered a brown ingredient. It has carbon in it. And then I have my compost pile, and as you can see, there are a lot of dead leaves on the outside. It doesn't look very much that decomposed, but what's happening on the inside is there is a lot more decomposition, and the outside kind of looks a little less broken down. I have very small sticks in the middle. Between everything, we don't want big sticks. It will take away nitrogen. And the smaller the pieces you have, the faster the decomposition. So if you want it to be a slow process, you put bigger chunks in. If you want it to be a fast process, you want soil now, you break everything down smaller. The cardboard, the newspaper, the straw, all your food scraps, make them as small as possible. And I'm going to be putting the food scraps kind of like in the middle here, breaking it in, and then making sure I'm putting all of my browns on top so that no animals come over and try to eat it. Even though I don't have any meat or butter or oils that will attract animals, it might attract things like bunnies because they eat vegetables. So I'm gonna put that in the middle. That way, rather than it being bunny food, it's gonna be compost. Tarp on here to keep it warmer. The sun kind of beats down on it, but you definitely don't have to have that. As long as you're turning things frequently and making sure you have enough moisture, not too dry, not too moist, then you will have a warm compost. I'm going to add some fresh grass clippings from the lawn. So instead of taking off all of the straw, I'm just going to make a hole in the middle and kind of mix it around. Now I'm just mixing it around, getting it all together, and last but not least, don't forget to put some stakes or some wood over the tarp so it doesn't blow away. Alright, so there you have it, my very own compost stew. Now, if you guys have any problems with your compost, just remember, if it is too dry, then it's important to add some more greens. If it's too moist, it's good to add some more browns, some more dry things, especially if it's smelly. And you can ask us for any other questions in the comments below.